to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and not say, geez, I'm a failure. Because I don't care how great your business plan is if you're going to sit there and tell yourself you're a failure, guess what? You're going to fail.
Hey everyone, thanks and welcome to another great podcast. I'm Melanie Johnson, one of the co-owners of Elite Online Publishing. So today we are going to talk about how to take your content and turn it into different things, as well as how to do your personal brand and the importance of collaborating with other people. You know, to me, collaborating is so important and networking is so important. So today we have an expert. He has done marketing and sales teams for upwards of $260 million. He has run marketing teams, sales teams. He is a best-selling author, and he's just a great inspiration. I've worked with him in the past. Peter Remington, thanks for joining me today.
Well, you're welcome, and thank you for having me. This is going to be a fun podcast.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you started in marketing and how you got to where you are today.
This is only a 20-minute podcast. We don't have that much
Yeah,
time.
the short version. Okay, Peter, the short version.
The readers, what is it, those cheat sheets that we used to have. I've been in marketing my whole life, actually. I mean, I started off selling cars first, but that's where I learned how to sell cars because I went to work for Volkswagen, and Volkswagen had a very serious sales training program. It wasn't like, you got your checkbook, what color do you want, are you buying today type sales. It was doing feature benefit sales, but that led me into getting into the radio business and working with a lot of Fortune 500 companies and major advertising agencies like Ogilvy and Mather and G. Walter Thompson and Kenyon and Eckert. I mean, all these great firms where you just learned a lot about marketing. And then that expanded to where I went to work for a major radio corporation called Cumulus Media, where I was in charge of all sales. And I started working with people like Outback Steakhouse and Home Depot and just fun stuff. And, what's so interesting about it is you sit there and you think about these major corporations. They are sitting there staring out the window with their hands in their pocket going, what can I do next? It's not like they're this well-oiled machine or anything like that. They need ideas too. And I kind of liken myself as being an idea man as well. I wish I could sell my ideas instead of just giving them away. But, and you can sell your ideas down the road. But everybody is looking for help. And so I would get into marketing with them. It was a lot of fun. But throughout my life, I've always wanted to write something. And I've tried to write books about how to run a marathon without training, which is something I did. And then something about skiing and all that. Well, I tried to write these books and I would get so far and then I'd stop. But the other thing about me is that I've always been what I call a seeker, in the sense of I've always wanted, I knew there's a bigger, better Peter Remington out there. And so I do crazy things. I mean, I've done shaman journeys. I've done tons of meditation. I've not done a sweat hut or anything like that, but I really got into the metaphysical part of my life and what the universe has to offer. And one time I was on a guided meditation. Let's put it that way. It was a guided meditation. And throughout that guided meditation, the person said, okay, you're in your boat, and you're going off to this island, and you go to an island, and you get off your boat, and you have a backpack, and you walk into this temple, and in the temple are all your friends, the ones you've loved, the ones you've hurt, all that stuff. You're there. But you go to the back, and there's an altar, and you are supposed to take off your backpack and take out those things of the backpack that you've been carrying around your whole life that mean nothing to your life, but you've been carrying it around your whole life. Boom. And then you just pick the friends you want to have with you in your life. You walk back to your boat and you all sail away together. I for some reason, went on a whole different trip. And I started off at the Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. You got the seals barking and the smell of fish and the oily water and so forth. And there was a sailboat there with a little dinghy attached to it. And that sailboat was mine, but I hopped in the dinghy and I sailed across the bay all the way to Tiburon. And I climbed up Mount Tamalpais. When I got to the top of Mount Tamalpais, here was this huge, on my way up there, there's this huge boulder in my way. And I was supposed to go either over it, around it, or under it. I just took the boulder and tossed it away and walked up to the temple, opened the doors, and there's all my friends, family, that, people I've hurt and so forth. I go to the back where the altar is, and there's an angel. And remember, this is meditation. There's an angel there waiting for me. And I took off my backpack and just put it on the table on the altar. And the angel looked at me and told me to walk through this door. Well, I opened up the doors and I just flooded with white light, flooded with white light. And he said, walk in there. So I'm walking towards the light, but I'm walking into the light. And all of a sudden, this little hand grabs my hand. And I'm walking with this little hand. I look over, it was me at the age of 5. And I
Wow.
looked down at me and I said, are you okay? And he said, yeah. And he looked at me and said, are you okay? And I said, yeah. He said, well, let's go do this thing. I said, oh, all right. So he turned around, go back through, see the angel, walked out the altar, said goodbye to everybody. I didn't take anybody with me. And then I floated down Mount Tamalpais like some bad Chinese movie, right? Got back in my dinghy and I went back to San Francisco. Now, San Francisco, when I left, it was cloudy and dark and gray and cold and miserable. When I got back to San Francisco, all of a sudden it turned into color. Technicolor, bright and cheerful and everything. And I realized at that moment that my mission in life was to take the darkness and gray out of people's lives and turn it into
Mm.
Technicolor. So that
Wow.
night I went to bed. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, which is the ultimate time for the Holy Spirit to zap you, I
I
woke up
didn't
at
know that.
3, woke up at 3, and I have these great big post-it things in my dining room in the other room. And I got up and I just started writing down all these ideas, all these thoughts, all this stuff. And that's how I came up with my first book, which is called Be a Holic, a 14-step process to becoming a successaholic. And I wrote that book and had it out in the marketplace within six months. And that's how it all
Wow.
started for me. And I still feel that way. I'm still constantly learning and trying new things and meditating and so
Wow.
forth. But that has been a path that I've been on for a while, as well as doing my other work, one that pays the bills,
Yeah. The real job.
the real job stuff. But I've stopped doing the real job stuff. I mean, my wife and
Yeah.
I, we have an insurance company. We do Medicare and Medicaid for people, and she does even beyond that. But I myself am in a spot now where I just want to help other people succeed. And so that's when you and I got together and put
Yeah.
together the collaboration book.
Yeah, and I think that really is to help a lot of people and get a lot of their messages out and to
Yeah,
share it to the world so where they don't have to do, have the whole book that they have to do because sometimes people are afraid to do a whole book or don't feel like they have the time to do it. So they
right.
get to do it in bite-sized chunks. Tell us a little bit about that project and why it's so important for the people that are participating.
But it's going to touch a lot of people, and not just the authors that are participating in the book. I have roughly 28 different individuals from a huge breadth of experience and jobs that they have or companies that they have. But it's all about their entrepreneurial journey and what it took for them to become an entrepreneur, the tenacity, the wins, the losses, the ability to pick themselves back up and keep moving forward and so forth, and just realize, like it says in the Bible, though I walk through the shadow of the valley of death, I should fear no evil. Nowhere in
Mhm.
that phrase does it say stop and pitch a tent, right?
Yeah.
So we want the whole thing. The whole thing is to help people walk through their shadows and help them.
Mhm.
So these 28 entrepreneurs have been so transparent and open with what they had to do to get to where they are today, and they are all very successful, whether they're in self development for other people, life coaching, restaurant business, ambulance business, cosmetic business, financial business, all retail, all sorts of lines of work that they talk about. So it's going to be a book that, it's great for them because they get a chance to tell their story in a chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah, going to give them a bio page with their headshot and their own chapter and say what they want to say. But it's also going to be great for anybody who wants to become an entrepreneur at any stage of their life, whether you're right out of college and you're 22 years old and you say, I want to do this. Yeah, you can go to AI and, say, give me a business plan. The business plan is great. That is a roadmap,
Yeah.
right? It's this in here is what we're talking about. You know, the
Yeah.
to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and not say, "Geez, I'm a failure," because I don't care how great your business plan is if you're going to sit there and tell yourself you're a failure. Guess what? you're going to fail.
Yeah,
It's
it's
that
all about
simple.
that mindset.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's all about the mindset. You're going to fail. I don't care. I mean, look at the people, even in today's world, big business people that have that stupid hiccup. We just had it with the Coldplay
Yeah.
video. I
Yeah,
hear it
but
is a very successful businessman that, doing something that he shouldn't be doing. Then, boom, guess what? Shoots and ladders. I mean, he just, right down the
yeah,
chute.
his
So,
whole life changed, his family's life changed, his
yeah.
kids' life, her life, the people that work at that company. I mean, that action changed how many people's lives in just an instant, just like that. And people don't think about that in the decisions that they make. What I love about the people that are choosing to participate in this book, is the decision they made to share their wisdom, right?
Yeah.
And that it's not just with their audience, right? A book shares, we always say when you launch it, you're letting your people know, we're letting our people know. But now there's going to be 27 other people that they've never met, never had the opportunity to touch their lives, that their network is going to be bridged together with theirs, that they're going to help people they never dreamt of being able to touch and give that wisdom to. And the other thing that, you and I've talked about AI a little bit and using new tools.
Mhm.
And we took one of the authors in there. He's, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have time to write a chapter. Well, they did a podcast interview with me, Larry Barton, and I took the podcast interview and then had it transcribed and then had it written as a chapter of the book in his voice. And then he went and edited some and voila. So it took him maybe 10 minutes versus an hour or so. And you've been doing some of that too, where you've interviewed some of the authors.
Absolutely, because trying to get it from pen to paper or fingers on your keyboard, that's one
Yeah.
thing. But when people start talking about themselves and what they want to do, and
Yeah.
you just go ahead and listen, and you can. I did that with an individual, all the questions, and then I gave him the transcript of the whole thing, put it into a first person article, and he looked at it. He goes, "This is perfect. This is perfect." I said, "Well, it's almost perfect, right?
Right.
Why don't you take it, read it? I know you're going to want to put some other thoughts in there. I mean, you're in the moment right now, but it's almost perfect." So, and he did. He turned it around in 3 days, and
Yeah.
it's fantastic. And what is so great about the book is how transparent and open everybody is in the book.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. It's going to be an international bestseller. If you don't know that, I just want you
For
to know. So,
sure. And an award winner too.
an
And
award winner.
a compilation book is a great way to get started. If you don't have the resources, time or money to hire a publisher to do it for you, and you don't want to take the time to learn how to do all that and time to write the whole book, a compilation book is a good first step because the entry is small. You don't have to have as many words. You've got other people that are going to help promote you, and now you'll have something that's published. So it's a great way to start. I know Jen Foster, my business partner, that was the first book that she did. It was a
Uh,
compilation book that she had a chapter of, and they did a whole big book signing, and it really gave her a lot of confidence, and it gave her exposure to a lot of different people. And then that propelled her to doing, gosh, she's like a 16-time now best-selling author. She's done a lot of books after that.
it's
So I
fantastic.
think it's a great first start. And I know the people you're looking for to be in your whole series, you're doing a whole series of compilation
Yes.
books. So
Yeah.
it's not just this one thing. That is people who have had some business success and
Yeah.
maybe haven't had a chance to share it yet, or maybe they already have a book, but they still have something else they'd like to share and be a part of this community to get it out to a whole nother audience of theirs.
I have a whole file holder of stuff that I've started and didn't finish. But, you know, I can take some of the stuff that I've started and use that and make a chapter out of it. But I wasn't able to make it into a whole book. The thing is, I'm not a big fan of anybody who says, if I can do it, you can do it. Well, that's not the case. When I wrote my book, I was just full of the spirit and just rocking and rolling. No one could stop me, right? Boom, not
Mm-hmm.
even myself,
Yeah.
with whatever negative self talk I may have. And that's what hurts people. But to write a chapter, 2,500 words, and to
Mm-hmm.
have the help and the primer of ChatGPT and say, look, here's a primer about you. And they go, oh, I didn't know that. And they start filling in the blanks and all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great. To your point, eventually they'll want to write their own book. However, with what we're doing together with everybody, they're going to be a best-selling author. So when they do write their own book, it'll be by Peter Remington, best-selling author. right? So
Hmm.
they're already starting off with that status, and they'll become a best-selling author again. But all of a sudden they got some street cred.
Yes, that's the exact word I was going to use. They got street cred. Yeah,
Yeah, and you know, I'm not sure who told me this, but the other thing is you don't make money off of books, right? Not
probably
unless you're
me.
Grissom or whatever. I mean, those are the big people. Joel Osteen, I mean, he's got a church of 40 million people. He could become a best-selling author, and make money off of those books. But for me, it's a great marketing tool,
Hmm.
branding tool. It's a great confirmation of your skills tool. So if you are very skillful in leadership and you're
Hmm.
part of a book and you're writing about leadership, well, you can sit there and be a keynote speaker because now you're a best-selling author and here's your book.
Right.
This is so I was told, I forget who told me this, might have even been you, but doctors are number one with cred, right?
Yeah.
With street
Oh, yeah.
cred,
Yep.
right? Number two are best-selling authors.
Yep.
So you got a lot. When you're a best-selling author, people all of a sudden start listening to you, a different type of reverence, so to speak.
And people, I think they appreciate somebody who's taken the time. So, everyone's, oh, anyone can become an author, but that's so not true because not
No,
everyone takes the time to sit and curate their content and put it all into one place for somebody. Because, I talk to people all the time that want to write a book, and some are like, oh, it's just not time. I know it's overwhelming. I'm not going to make it a priority. And then 3 years down the road, 5 years, 10 years, they still haven't written the book. But when you
right?
think of the opportunity cost, because it does open doors as speakers, we have an author, Stephanie Chung. She was the president of a private jet company, and then she became a speaker. She was doing okay as a speaker, but once her book came out, she just exploded. I mean,
Yeah,
her speaking business 10x'd. She is on much bigger stages than she was before. Her speaking price doubled than what it was before. These are the kind of things that a book does for you. And then if you're a consultant, the consultant business raises up because now you don't have to sell yourself so much. You can send them that book. You have a client that you're trying to pitch, you send them your book, and now all of a sudden, oh, I know this person. You can't
yeah,
tell your whole life story. Look, I gave you a moment to tell your bio a little bit, but you're sitting in a pitching, you're pitching someone, you're hearing them ask questions. They don't really know who you are, right? But if you can leave a book with them, they're going to get to know who you are.
yeah, yeah. And just Googling somebody and they have all those different things that you've done in your life, and that just adds to it as well. It's just amazing. And what else do I want to tell you more about this book? It this has been a work of love, right?
Yeah.
And tenacity on my part. I mean, it's been crazy, but it's going to be a fantastic referral piece for anybody. Like I said, any young entrepreneur, anybody who at 65 wants to do. People go through life. I mean, they just kind of circulate through life, and
Yeah.
as they're circulating through life, they will sit there and they'll percolate and see a bigger, better Melanie Johnson out there for herself, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden you get sucked back down, you start percolating again. And it's not until you have the opportunity or somebody has an opportunity that they leave their 9 to 5 job or something happens where they go, now I want to do what I actually really wanted to
Yeah.
do with my
There's
life.
so true. So many of us that are 50 plus are at a stage where we're reinventing
What?
ourselves.
Wait a minute. You're over. Okay, I'm
So
sorry.
what's your next best act, right? What is my
Right,
next act going to be? And you and I have both had that. I mean, I've had several careers. I, started as an auto show model and then was a newscaster, then was a children's television producer and PR agent for a TV station, and then became a TV station owner, then real estate, developer, and then book publisher.
yeah,
So, you have, and now I'm a podcaster on top of that too. So that's also part of the reinvention. So it's like deciding what do you want to be and being able, whether you're having a reinvention and saying, hey, let me tell you what I'm an expert in now and who I am by writing that book or writing that chapter. Or it's, I've been an expert plumber, I've been an expert restaurateur, but nobody else really knows that. Not many people in the world know, you may own a great restaurant in your city. Matter of fact, I have a restaurateur coming in next week to start her book. And they all know her in Vero Beach, but they don't know her across the rest of the world, right?
right.
So it's how do you let people find out who you are and your backstory to spread that. So yeah, I think it's a great way. And another thing I'm going to transition into is, even with your book, when you have a book, you can turn that into other pieces of content. So once you have either the chapter in your book or you write a whole book, it can now become hundreds to thousands of pieces of content, social media posts, videos that you can create. And in your instance, it can become a course, it can become an app, it can turn into a lot of different things. Tell us about what you're turning your book into next.
So I've looked at apps to do that, and then I said, "Well, no, that's not for me. An app, mainly because it was $30,000."
Yeah.
Like what? Anyway, but I do. I've been doing daily inspirational messages, and they come out every single day. And I use something that's either out of the Bible. It could be from Psalms or just a verse out of anything in the New Testament. I use something metaphysical from James Wallace Waddles, or anything like that. And I put the verse in there, and then I put my spin on it. And right now, it's just going to the people that have purchased my book in the past. So I have, those few thousand people there. But the main thing is that it's no one spends time setting themselves up for the day. Set themselves up for their work day, your 1 through
Yeah.
10 to-do list. But what do
Mm-hmm.
you do with yourself to set yourself up for the day? And that's what my purposeful living insights are. And I send them
Yeah.
out to, like I said, people that own my book. And I'm now going to allow it to go out to the general public. And it's $36.50 for the year. It's 10 cents a day. But you have your inspiration. And then I ask, and this is what I do. There's 4 things I do every morning besides working out and meditating and doing all that. I write down on a 3x5 card what my intentions are for the day. For example, today I just wrote that down, that I was going to have a great podcast with Melanie. That was my intention for the day, is to have this, and then I'm fine for the day. The second thing is that I write down, what am I grateful for? Well, I'm grateful for my house and my wife and my business and all these different things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful for my dog and
Mm-hmm.
just little things like that. Then the third thing I do is I write down images about me, my great I ams, images about me, and how do I want to portray myself?
Mm-hmm.
Strong, loving, caring, intelligent. I just want to portray myself that way. And then the fourth thing I write is, what am I going to create today? So am I going to create a new friend? Am I going to create a new client? Am I going to create a new idea? What am I going to create today?
Mm-hmm.
And is, at the end of the day, what did I actually do today? I'm not very good at that one, but I'm very good at the first 4. Uh, because you can write down these 4 things that you want to create for yourself and inspire yourself. But the neat thing is, by writing it down on the card, I put it in my coat pocket or in my pants pocket. And if for some reason I'm not doing what I thought I was going to do today, I can take it back out and get myself back on course. But the most important person, or the most important to-do list you have in this world, is your own personal to-do list for you, not
Mm-hmm.
for your company, not for this. I mean, yes, you have to complete the task that you were supposed to do. You have that responsibility for your company. So the inspirational message, if you go to peterremington.com, Peter Remington with 1m.com/insights, you'll be able to register for $36.50 and get these insights, and you get them on a daily basis. I've been sending out insights since 2010. So,
Wow. Way ahead of the curve, Peter. You are way ahead of the curve.
yeah. So that's one thing. And off of my book, because it is self-development book. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm a self-development speaker. I teach
Yeah.
people not to be motivated, because anybody can be motivated for 6 weeks. I mean, Madison Avenue knows that's why you have 6-week abs, or learn a language in 6 weeks, or do this in 6 weeks. The
Yeah.
whole plan. They know we have the willpower to do something for 6 weeks, but it's having the will to do it for the rest of your life, and that's a behavioral change.
And that's
So
tough. Even sometimes it's tough to do it for 6 weeks. So you've got a lot of great tools to be able to do that.
yeah,
So everyone check out peterremington.com, and then you can go to the /insights and just check out his website in general and go and grab his book. So remember, you can also write a book. You have a lot of tools now. You can grab our book, Strategic Writing System. We have it offered for free on our Instagram. Just go to our link in our bio. And we encourage you, if you just want to write a chapter, reach out to Peter and he'll make you part of his next compilation book. We'll see you next time, everybody. Keep writing. Have a great week. Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.